Hey friends, Coach Kyle here, and today you're going to learn about a new toy that I have for my running and maybe one that you'll want to get yourself. If you're new here, I'm Coach Kyle. Welcome to the channel. I work primarily with plant-based runners all over the world to optimize their training through making sure their running is dialed in. They're doing their strength work, bringing everything else into alignment, such as mindfulness, meditations, nutritions, race planning, gear, and anything else that we need to make sure is dialed in. Let's chat about this watch. I'm going to go through why I initially kind of needed a new GPS watch, why I went with Coros, things I like about it, things I don't like about it, etc. There are a ton of great reviews already on YouTube and online, so I'm not gonna go through every detail and spec of the watch. It's gonna be more so my experiences, my thoughts on it. So first, let's go over why I decided I needed a new watch. For a while, I had been using the Garmin 620, top of the line, circa 2013. Super easy watch to use. It was light, minimal, easy to use, and really accurate. The main problem with the Garmin 620 was that I'm doing a FKT, a fastest known time, in like a week and a half, and it's 120 miles. And I needed a watch that will track that entire distance. Thus, I started looking at different watch options from different companies that would cover an entire ultra marathon. Coros is a fairly new company when it comes to GPS watches. I think maybe they've only been really making them for the last 2 years, I believe, but they have a really great online presence. They have a Facebook group where people from the company, including the CEO, are in the group telling stories, giving information, helping people out. It was actually a podcast interview with the CEO that really, that a guy I coach really kind of drew me to the company as, yeah, this guy is basically, other than like the board of trustees, the board of whatever, he's in charge of Coros. He's the main guy. And here's a podcast interview of him telling his story and Coros' story, and that was really cool. It's something you're not gonna get with Garmin or Suunto or Polar, that personality of the company and of the people behind the company, behind the watch. And also on the flip side, Coros has a lot of great reviews and user experience. People really love these watches. I've had numbers of people suggest them to me, or when I ask, what watch are you using? They tell me Coros, and that has really piqued my attention. Now, things I were looking for in a watch are price. I just use it for running. I don't want to spend a bunch of money on a watch. Lightweight. I have small wrists, small hands. I don't want one of those giant watches that weighs 2 pounds and takes up half of my arm space. I have no use for a smartwatch. I don't have any desire to wear a watch throughout the day that gets notifications from my phone. So I didn't want to spend an extra $200 on something for a bunch of smartwatch features that I'm not going to use. And there was another factor that helped me kind of really decide on going with Coros, and I'll talk about that in a second. So let's go over some of the stats on this watch. First off, it is super light. And I actually, when I first got it, I was like, gosh, it feels kind of cheap because it's so light. And it's 29 grams. That is half of the weight. Actually, I think it's less than half the weight of my old Garmin 620. And that was a light, minimal watch. It's about the same size. The Garmin 620 was pretty comparable in size, maybe even a little larger than this. And this fits really well, it feels good, and when you have it on, there's no weight to it. It is so incredibly light. Now, the primary consideration, the number one reason I was looking for a new watch was because I needed at least 35 hours of battery life. I'm hoping to do the FKT in 35, 40 hours. And I needed something to track that entire distance. So we got this. And Coros is really, really known for their battery life. That's their number one thing. Garmin has all these fancy watches. They have 18 different varieties, and Coros has like 5. And they're straight to the point, simple watches. They don't have 18,000 different features. They removed as much as possible to save weight and to save battery, to save energy, to give their watches 2, 3 times more battery, more life than most GPS watches at twice the price. So with the normal use, with just wearing the watch, you'll get about 20 days of full use. 30 hours of use on normal GPS mode and 60 hours of use on Ultra Max GPS mode. And I was really hoping to get to use that for my September marathon. However, this didn't come out quite early enough. I pre-ordered it and I didn't get it in time. I got it like 2 days before the marathon, so I just used it for pacing. I didn't actually get to use the power rating, but that is something really cool and I'm super excited to be able to use going forward into the future. And the screen is super easy to read. Let's see, you can see it's just no problems in full sun, no problems at night. The lighting, the colors on here are crisp and easy to read. Now, one thing I want to talk about that somebody actually told me in my first video on this when I just had the unboxing was that there's a trade-in program, and somebody commented on my first video and said, hey, I've watched all the reviews, I've read all of them, and nobody mentioned the trade-in program that Coros has. So this is a $200 GPS watch, and I think you'll be hard pressed to find somebody who doesn't say this is the best for your buck $200 watch you will buy new at full retail. But their trade-in program. So I contacted them. You fill out a form on their website. You say, here's what I have, here's the condition, here's some photos. They reply back and they say, okay, in this case, hey Kyle, we'll give you 50 bucks for your Garmin 620. And they send you a prepaid shipping label. I printed it off. I attached it onto a box. I think it might have been the box that this came in. I put the watch in there and I sent it back. And super easy, and it cut another $50. So this was $150. And I used a code to get a free second band. And that code is not mine, I just found it online, but I'll put it in the comments here. I'll pin it as the first comment. And so you can get a free accessory, and I went with a different watch band. Now let's talk about what do I really like about this watch. And I think you can kind of garner a few things. That I like the weight, I like the display. Now some other things though that I really like, and like the power settings, which I haven't been able to use, but I'm really pumped about testing that out. It has a dial on the side here, and the dial is really handy. There's only two buttons. This is mostly a back button, and this is kind of the navigation, and you can select it to start, to pause. This is a lap button, etc. But this works great. I love having this option just to scroll through like this. The Garmin 620 was a touch screen, and I like not having the touch screen. I like being able to kind of wipe off the watch and not change views or whatnot. And it's nice to have this navigation. And sometimes with the touch screen, it's such a small screen, I would mistouch and select things that I didn't mean to select. And this, I mean, there's no messing that up. And how I have it set up is in standby mode. When I'm just wearing it, it'll be locked, and I'll just have to do this basically to unlock it. And so you can't accidentally hit buttons outside of it. Now in the running mode, I have the lock off because I got tired having to go like this to unlock it and then switch screens, switch views, etc. So I have it set up like that. But this digital dial is really neat. Also, shout out to Coros on customer service. Some of the best customer service I've ever received was from these guys. When I emailed them about the trade-in program, when I emailed them about the pre-shipping, or the pre-sale, and hey, is my watch gonna arrive in time for my marathon, or for my FKT on October 2nd even. And I was a little concerned about that. They got back to me straight away and were super helpful. And that's a big part of, you know, where I want to spend my money is, are you gonna reply to my emails? Are you gonna reply to my social media questions? And they do. I also like the 2 watch bands. This is a silicone one, and it fits really well. I really like it. And it looks nice too. It's nylon. And I got this as well because I had the code for a free accessory. But I wanted something that maybe was a little more customizable, because this, I mean, you only get where the notches are, and it's fine. But I wanted this for that extra customization. Plus, I thought, well, I've never had a GPS with a nylon band, so let's give it a shot. And it's pretty comfortable. You can tell they put thought and effort into their bands. And actually, it was super easy. I just needed a pocket knife, and it was super easy to switch these out. And for my FKT, I'll probably wear the nylon because it's just a little easier to change up the tightness and how it fits. And for that optical heart rate monitor, which is super minimal on there, by the way, and it seems pretty accurate, you kind of need it nice and snug against your arm there. And so this is done, I think it's a little not as good looking, but it does a little better job of customizing the fit versus having the notches. If I were to continue wearing this throughout the day, I would probably stick with this because I really like how this looks. But for just general running use, I think I'll stick with the nylon band. Now, some things I really don't care for are wearing a watch throughout the day. I was super excited about the sleep tracking on this. It monitors heart rate, steps, elevation continually. And I'm like, oh, I've never had a sleep tracker or a step counter. This is gonna be fun. And turns out I hate wearing watches. So I gave it a go for a few days and I just can't keep it on. So I'm not saying it's uncomfortable. It's not. I just don't like wearing watches. So it sits on the shelf back there by the charger most of the time. And this sucker charges fast. I'm not gonna have to charge it that often. But one thing that I also noticed was that it's not easy to turn this off. And you have to go into the settings, hold that. It's at the very bottom of the list. So you can scroll backwards. No, I have to go to more settings. Then it's at the very bottom of the list, turn off. And it's almost not even worth me doing that because it'll still last 30 hours on GPS, 20 days on normal mode. So it's probably not worth me to spend the 10 seconds turning it off after every run. But I wish that it was just like, hold this down for 10 seconds or hold this down for 5 seconds and the watch turns off. And I don't think there's an easy way to turn the watch off because it's not meant to be turned off. It is also a smartwatch, so it does get notifications. You can't really do much with them other than see that you have a text message or whatever. You can't do any type of response or anything like that, as far as I know. I haven't looked into this too much because I have zero interest in having a smartwatch and wearing the watch throughout the day. Now, one thing I liked about this was that I felt like I wasn't paying for all these extra features. I was paying for a really great GPS watch that has minimal smartwatch features. And it's nice that I wanted something that's a really great watch for running. And a lot of these other GPS watches from Garmin, etc., they have music on them. And you're paying for all these other features that I don't want. And so I'm not saying those are bad, I'm just saying I didn't want those. I didn't want to pay $500 for a Garmin to get accurate tracking for 40 hours when I could get this for 150 bucks. Now, to wrap this up, it's a great watch. I highly recommend it. If you want something simple, lightweight, you don't need all these features, you just want a really good running watch, I think you can't beat this one here. The app is also pretty intuitive. It works well. You can get training plans, you can create workouts. They have a strength training section, and I haven't had time to dig into that yet, but that looks really cool. And again, it seems like, and this is really key for me, it seems like a really great company. It seems like their interaction with people is genuine and true, and that's a big part of why I went with Coros. And it's a part of why I think you should go with Coros. They're a young company, but they're doing a really good job. So check out the links, the code in the first pinned comment if you're on YouTube here, and pick up a watch. I don't think you're gonna regret it. If you need something that is just a really great, inexpensive running watch, this is the one for you.